Alright, so in the fallout of Chapter 957, which was truly a landmark for the series, a whole bunch of new theories and connections to existing storylines and characters have come out as well. And one of those connections that I want to talk about in this video is the possible one between Rox and Blackbeard. And I'm sure you probably thought about this connection yourself, but it might go deeper than what you initially thought. So let's get into it. So we got a whole bunch of exposition dropped in that chapter. A lot about Rox's crew, a lot about Rox himself, but specifically his name, which is Rox D. Xebec. And this is where the connection to Blackbeard is going to begin. And we're not going to talk about the D just yet, but I want to focus on Xebec. So according to some information from one of the Weaver cards, Blackbeard's ship is called the Saber of Xebec. And at first, we didn't really know what to think about that. Xebec is some kind of sailing ship or something like that. But no, it's also the name, or the last name, of Rox. And this is not a coincidence. Definitely Blackbeard knows about Rox. And another connecting piece is that Blackbeard is currently the boss, quote-unquote, of the very same island that the Rox pirate came together on, which is the pirate island of Fulalede, or the Beehive Island, or Hachinosu. So at the very minimum, I think this proves that Blackbeard at least knows who Rox is. I mean, come on, the name of his ship is Xebec, and he is at the island that the Rox crew came together on. And this, like I said, probably not a coincidence, if we know Oda. But let's go deeper. So we also found out that Rox's crew came together around 40 years ago, give or take. And that they were defeated 38 years ago. And coincidentally, Blackbeard is currently 40 years old. So I assume sometime before the God Valley incident, Rox did the deed with someone and made Marshall D teach. So yeah, it's possible that Rox is Blackbeard's father. Allegedly, of course. And another thing I want to touch on is the brief glimpse that we get of Blackbeard as a kid. So in one of the SBSs, Oda drew all of the warlords as kids, and when he drew Blackbeard, we saw him looking sad, and when we saw that for the first time, there was a whole bunch of theories we had, like, why does he look sad? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? Well, now it could be because he was an orphan. Because, in this theory, Rox was taken out when he was a baby. And I guess his mom went away around this time too, maybe because Rox went down, or maybe there was another reason. So it's possible Blackbeard was all alone, and that's why he's sad when we see him, possibly. And that could also line up with why Blackbeard took him in, because, that's like his whole thing, being a father to the fatherless. And I'm unsure if Whitebeard knew if Teach was the son of Rox, but I think it's more likely that he at least knew that Blackbeard was an orphan, or something. And that brings us to his name. So this lines up with him having the D in his name, since Rox also did. But as for the Teach part, I assume this is similar to Ace, since, as he goes by his mom's name, Portgas, and not his dad's name, Roger. So maybe Blackbeard's mom was Teach, or something like that, possibly. But all of that aside, how would Blackbeard know about Rox, considering that the world government covered up his existence altogether? Well, it's possible that something was left behind from Rox, possibly, for him to know that he was his dad. But it's also very possible that he figured it out for himself, because, it's stated that one of Blackbeard's hobbies is researching history, and that if he wasn't a pirate, he would be an archaeologist. So if Rox didn't leave something behind for him, or someone close to Blackbeard as a kid just didn't tell him who his parents were, he probably would have figured it out through research. I mean, I like to give Blackbeard the benefit of the doubt in that area. I know he comes off as a buffoon mostly, but he is very, very intelligent, especially for the world of One Piece. But let's go back to Ace, because we know Blackbeard had beef with him, and that him capturing Ace started his whole scheme that led him to where he is currently. But it could also go deeper than that. Maybe him going after Ace was also revenge for Roger taking down Rox. And this also gives him more of a motivation to take down Luffy, because, Garp and everything, as well as a deeper connection to him. And that whole plot line right there makes things even more interesting. If we had the three lineages of the God Valley, all converging together now. Not Ace, but, Sabo kind of taking his place, possibly, but. And then it's also possible that Rox had the Yami Yami no Mi, and that's how Blackbeard found out about it, but that's just way too speculative. I mean, if we kind of look at the flashback that we see of Rox in Chapter 957, we see, like, some black stuff coming off of him. That could be it. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that Oda chose to draw it, but that's just way too speculative, and I'm already speculating enough in this video, so I'm not going to go down that road. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Do you think it's likely that Blackbeard is the son of Rox? I think it makes sense, you know, because we have the descendant of Roger, we have the descendant of Garp, so why not have the descendant of Rox being Blackbeard? But this also could mean that Blackbeard's ultimate goal is not being the Pirate King. Or maybe he is going to use the Pirate King to become the king of the world. Maybe he wants to sit on the empty throne like his alleged father did. Maybe that's what Blackbeard ultimately wants. And it makes sense. I mean, come on. Why would he just want to stop at the Pirate King? But let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. How likely do you think it is? And if you liked the video, guys, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.